is tantamount to the privatisation, or for the moment, the part privatisation of the World Cup, which is essentially a public good.
There's an awful lot of interested parties in the game who want a slice of the action.
The whole thing is absolutely dreadful. It's totally unacceptable. It feels a feel of cronyism, nepotism. It sort of stinks, frankly.
This goes to the very heart of whether FIFA run football or FIFA own football on the global stage.
FIFA talks a lot about the football family, and this is selling the football family silver.
FIFA has caused uproar after announcing plans to open the World Cup up to private investment. But what does that mean? Why are people so angry? But first, what exactly is planned? FIFA says it plans to raise $10 billion by selling a stake in the World Cup to private investors. Money, it says, would be reinvested into the development of football. But how would it be done? Nesta McGregor explains.
By creating a new private company called FIFA Forward Enterprise. Its goal would be to look for long-term minority investors to maximise the organisation's commercial rights. So think things like broadcast deals, licensing and ticket sales. And FIFA remains adamant this would not affect the overall governance of the game, which includes the rules or the match calendar, for example.
Our sports presenter Ollie Foster is with us. Ollie, tell us a little bit more about what exactly FIFA is proposing.
Yeah, not surprising the timing of this, Anita, off the back of a bumper World Cup. Football stock has never been higher. FIFA, they just want to sell off part of the organisation that runs its major competitions, the men's, women's World Cups, the Club World Cup, that's the competition for the top club sides in the world. They say they're going to maintain control of FIFA. They're going to brand this commercial subsidiary as the FIFA Forward Enterprise, as we just heard there. Critically, they're going to allow private investors to have a minority stake in that company. Now, when you look at how much money FIFA make, it's billions and billions of dollars generated through their competitions, mainly the World Cup through broadcasting rights, ticketing, sponsorship deals and so on. So the opportunity would be there, if this is passed through, for investors to come in and make a lot of money themselves.
Well, we'll have more on the reaction to all of this in a second. But first, a round of quick-fire questions for you, Ollie, that people have been searching for, taking this back to basics. First up, who owns FIFA?
Governing body, it's an organisation. It's essentially owned, Anita, by its members. That's the 211 football associations and federations around the world, all shapes and sizes, all of them having their one vote, being able to vote on proposals, a direction of travel that's put forward by the FIFA Council and its president, Gianni Infantino. A lot of the time, those are block votes, according to their continental confederation stance. For instance, CAF, the African Confederation, recently said that Infantino would get their backing in his bid to run for a fourth presidential term next year. And that adds up to over 50 odd, over a quarter of the global votes.
Lots of people asking as well whether FIFA is non-profit.
Yes, it is. That's how it's registered as a company under Swiss law, enjoys a number of tax breaks because of that. Now, the billions that it makes from its competitions, especially the World Cup, should then be used to aid the development of the global game, pumped back into football globally. Not all of it, though. In FIFA's most recent financial reports, they've also got about $3 billion always sitting there in reserve, a bit of a contingency pot. So part of the backlash to all this is that though FIFA feel that they'll be able to make more money for football, investors, if this is allowed, will certainly want to make a profit, and that money will almost certainly end up outside the game. That's the fear.
And also people are asking for a reminder, who is Gianni Infantino?
Well, he's a huge figure in global sport, football. He's born in Switzerland to Italian parents, got dual citizenship. He studied law. He's 56 now, still relatively young for somebody, you know, with such huge experience and power in the game. Spent a long time in sports and football administration, his career taking off with Uefa, European football's governing body, became their Secretary General there. And that's when we first got a feel of his sort of expansionist philosophy, really, in football. He increased the number of teams taking part in the Euros. But he's been FIFA president for the past 10 years, taking over from the disgraced Sepp Blatter and all the corruption scandals that he was partly involved in. And he got in on the ticket that he was going to clean up FIFA after so many years of corruption. He's been in charge for 3 World Cups, and of course the most recent one was the biggest in history with 48 teams.
OK, well, the plans have been met with fury across much of the world, with condemnation from Europe, Asia and North America. Here's a flavour of some of that initial reaction.
In an already fractious relationship, UEFA, European football's governing body, has reacted angrily over these proposals, saying this crosses a line that football's governing institutions should never cross. The soul and governance of football are not assets to trade, especially with zero transparency as to who gains financially. None of us are the owners of football. It's not FIFA's to sell.
The Football Association said they were completely unaware of this proposal and are deeply concerned, while Europe's Commissioner for Sport said the relentless commercialisation of football has become corrosive. Hands off our game.
The UK's new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, hit out at FIFA, saying the World Cup is not a product. It is the greatest competition in world sport, and it was never anyone's to sell.
Back to Ollie. Ollie, there's talk of boycotts and emergency meetings being held. Why is the reaction so strong?
Well, we heard from UEFA there. That was their initial statement. We've had a more recent one than that. And this, I think, sums up the level of feeling from across the majority of people in the game. They say FIFA cannot continue to use our sport to enrich themselves and their friends, they say. That's their most recent statement. We can grow the game correctly. That is UEFA. They're holding an emergency meeting on Thursday, 48 hours after all this blew up. Many individual associations, as we've heard, they've expressed their concern over the proposals, that it's been sprung on them with no consultation. There was already disquiet, remember, off the back of the World Cup just gone, and how close Infantino had become with President Trump, the allegation of political interference with footballing matters as well. Remember, following Balogun, the USA forward, his suspension for a red card, that was overturned. But now we've got this, FIFA clearly looking to cash in some way off the back of the World Cup. And what's also, I think, got people's backs up is that the potential investment group has got links to Trump's extended family. It just feels as if football's on the brink of a civil war, and so the nuclear option, you mentioned boycotts there, it would be some nations refusing to take part in FIFA-run competitions. UEFA could hold the key to all this. European nations and their clubs, they're the richest, the most successful. How likely is it, though, that Spain wouldn't defend their title in 4 years' time at the next World Cup, in which they're also co-hosts, by the way, or Spain's women, also world champions, not travelling to Brazil next year to defend their title? But these are the kind of conversations and the debates that are being had.
Yeah, big questions. Well, Gianni Infantino is no stranger to controversy, and this latest drama comes just after, as Ollie was saying, the 2026 World Cup has wrapped up. During the tournament, FIFA faced criticism for high ticket prices, those controversial hydration breaks, officials and fans being denied entry to the US, and who could forget, again, that alleged political influence by President Trump over US forward Folarin Balogun's red card. It was overturned after Donald Trump called Gianni Infantino. The US president has since praised the tournament and Infantino. Take a listen.
We congratulate Gianni Infantino and all of his staff and the incredible job they did. But this was one of the greatest events of any kind ever held.
It's been a tournament like no other, filled with fierce competition, unforgettable moments, yet unforgettable moments. Like probably the most unforgettable is when they gave that gentleman, is it a red card? And I was forced to call Gianni and just make a recommendation. I said, Gianni, I'd like to make a recommendation. Let the guy in the game. No, I didn't say that. I said, I'd like to wage a complaint. And actually, I had no idea what was going to happen, but you know, it's so much better the way it worked out because there's no controversy.
When it comes to the sell-off plans, an American venture capital firm called Thrive Eternal is set to lead the investor group. It was founded earlier this year by Josh Kushner, the brother-in-law of President Trump's daughter Ivanka. The proposal follows years of Infantino making overt attempts to deepen his and FIFA's ties to Donald Trump. So back to Ollie. What happens next then?
It's a timetable that FIFA have set out, a deadline really, and that they've urged the 211 members, all those global associations, to meet. September the 19th, they said, look, if you approve this new commercial arm by then, you're going to get a sweetener. You can unlock a one-off payment of $20 million. That's not an awful lot for those cash-rich associations that we mentioned, a lot of them in Uefa, in Europe, Germany, UK, the French. But that could certainly sway many, many others who haven't got that kind of money, or it would take them years and years to actually make that amount of money. And that would be distributed in the new year if they give the thumbs up to this proposal. And that could be ratified then at the FIFA Congress in March, when Infantino could become president as well for a record fourth term. That could be confirmed then as well. They vote on an awful lot of things at Congress. No one is running against him at the moment. And I think the final word of all this reaction, Anita, that we've been talking about to these proposals from Gianni Infantino. Now, Javier Tebas, a very powerful man, he runs La Liga in Spain, the top division there. He's accused Infantino of trying to buy votes. He says it doesn't seem like reform this. It seems like an electoral campaign financed with the future of football.
Ollie, thank you very much. That's Ollie Foster, our sports presenter. And that is all you need to know about FIFA, Infantino and the World Cup boycott threat.